Hello, people of the worldwide interweb. Today on the workbench, well, actually it's my desk, we have a sessions clock. Now, this is a company that was founded in 1903 by a Sir William E. Sessions. And anyways, I picked it up secondhand, obviously, for $20, and I figured that this would be a good clock to start operating on to see what my abilities are. The plan is to take everything 100% apart, clean up, and yeah, the movement is quite dirty, so we will have to do quite a bit of work to that. And I've also discovered that this finish that's on the wood, it's probably hard to see, but I'll try and show you. It's quite nasty. I don't know if it was left in the attic or something. The dial is quite dirty as well and cracked. It's not porcelain. I believe it's some sort of, maybe just even a cardboard or something. It's printed on there. So we have that to deal with. It kind of gives it a cool effect. So, plan is to take the whole thing apart and find out what's wrong with it and why it's not running. At the moment, what we do have is the chimes work. So that part of the mechanism is working, though it's slow because of old congealed oil that's on all of the gears. But the time part of the movement is not working. What I do is I'll put the key in there and I'll turn it, and it immediately wants to turn back on me. So that tells me that there's something wrong with the click spring. The click is the part that holds the spring under tension. Every time you move it forward, crank it up a little bit, that's what holds it in place. That is the click's job, and currently it's not working, so I don't know what's wrong with it. It's something I will figure out once it's all apart. The Sessions S, the pendulum. Obviously, whenever you're moving a clock like this, always take the pendulum off. Do not travel with it in place. Actually, out of the factory, there's actually this little spring that holds everything in place. As we can see, here, we'll get a little bit more light in here. The movement is disgusting. The oil is pretty much all evaporated and left behind this black gunk. And what that does is it just slows everything down to the point where it just stops working. So hopefully that's what happened to the click spring as well. I'm hoping there's nothing seriously broken with it. Now the next thing I notice is that when I activate the chimes here, let's see if I can, oh, maybe it won't work when it's, slowly, come on. So the hammer is improperly placed, so we'll have to bend that back into place very carefully without messing around with the stuff in the upper end of the movement. And yeah, those are the issues I've found so far. So I guess we will start getting into this. Don't know if you can see all the old and nasty oil on there. Well, here, oh, look at that nastiness. All right, put that off to the side. Taking out the chime right now. Okay, so we'll have to hold that in place. Would have been very nice if the click spring was working, because this fully unwound spring over here, the main spring, is very difficult to pull out of this door here. But I'm sure we could find a way. Okay, that was very difficult to do, and there you go. There's the movement out of its casing. So, upon closer inspection, what I see is that the click spring is basically just so gummed up with old oil that it's not doing what it's supposed to do. So once cleaned, I'm pretty confident that it should work normally, or as it should. Next issue is something going on with the main spring here. It just won't catch. So the burr that kind of catches the spring might be an issue with that. So we'll have to look into that. A little bit of warning: when you're dealing with a clock like this, it's always wise to let off all of the tension on the springs here. So what I do for that is I just got a pick here. My plan is to crank it like you're going to crank it up, but pull back on the click and then let off all of the tension. Okay. And there we have it. Now it's dismantled to the point where it's no longer dangerous. And so now the real disassembly is going to start. So obviously when you're doing something like this, take many pictures. So I've determined that the finish that's on the case of the clock is probably some variation of shellac, and what leads me to that belief is that I just took some denatured alcohol and I just rubbed it up against this edge over here, and what it did is it dissolved the finish, which tells me that it's probably shellac. Like I said, not sure, don't quote me on it, but that's what I'm going to go with. So my thought process moving forward is to melt the old shellac while introducing a little bit of new shellac, which I have here. This is just shellac flake. Some of it's kind of stuck together. Been out in the hot garage, but you can order this online. So that's the shellac in its raw form, and what you need is denatured alcohol. What I sprung for is just the cheapest stuff available here. This is it's 100% pure, just methyl alcohol. place where you can get this is just any truck stop will usually have it during the winter. It's something that they use for trucks to stop the brake lines from freezing, from what I understand. So what we need to do is I'm going to go ahead and make what you call a 2.5 pound cut. Let me take this. Try not to get big chunks. And I need 2.5 ounces. So roughly about 2.5 ounces. I'm going to add that to the jar. And that will be mixed with 8 ounces of methyl alcohol. Now we're going to give it a stir. This is going to take quite a while to dissolve, and I'm going to challenge to say that because I do have chunks of it in here, it'll probably take far more than 24 hours. So this is the sort of thing you need to do a little bit of planning. Okay, so what I'm going to try here is just do some preliminary cleaning with just the 100% pure alcohol here, just to try and get like the top coat off. So I just have some here on the rag. Just going to try and get some of this finish off. It's important to use 100% alcohol because when you're using something with let's just say like isopropanol, which you could use, it has water in it, and water will soak into the wood and remain in there for a long time and possibly distort the wood, whereas this, it evaporates quite quickly and you're back in business very soon. So look at that, already we're seeing some good results here. It's been about 5 days and the shellac flakes have all been dissolved. Obviously you don't need to wait 5 days, just I've been busy, so haven't been able to get to it. So this is what it looks like, and pretty much like a watery like consistency. I'm going to go ahead and use the brush on method. Some people will use cheesecloth and just rub it on in smaller coats. Definitely on certain projects you would a thinner coat would be beneficial, like a musical instrument, but this is just a clock, so we're just going to use the brush. And what I did off camera is I hit this with the 000 steel wool just to knock down any sort of uneven spots, and it turned out all right. So now all we have to do is reapply the new shellac. So let's get into it. I'm just putting a tiny little bit on, and always wipe on the inside of the jar with the brush because yeah, if you get some on the rim of the jar, it'll be impossible to take the lid off. Shellac is very, very, very sticky. All right, So now I'm gonna let this sit for a little while, and probably I'll coat it again in about an hour or so, depending on how it looks. Gets a little bit hazy. Sometimes that means that there's just a little bit of moisture that's caught between the layers, but that's normal. So we'll wait and see what it looks like. So that was the first coat that went over the factory finish there. One thing I forgot to mention is that we'll just have a look at this this back piece here. Not super concerned about it because it's the back of the clock. You know, I'll look at that. Probably not many other people, but when you roll over the edge here, sometimes you'll get a little bit of this. So to avoid that, come up to the edge like this rather than starting it like this. Anyway, not a big deal, but something to definitely keep in mind. Okay, so I did about maybe 4 coats of shellac on the clock, and it's pretty shiny in some spots and then dull in others, right? I mean, it's not bad looking as it is, but it's a little bit too shiny. What I'm gonna go for is kind of like a sateen kind of look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some paste wax and some 00 steel wool. And basically we're just going to rub out the finish nice and easy. So that last step there, I just used a cotton cloth with the wax and some fine pumice after the whole treatment with the steel wool. And actually, I think it turned out all right. Oh, geez, that's obviously not screwed down yet. But, you know, it's got a pretty good luster to it. And it's not too shiny, so I'm very happy with the results. This is turning out pretty nice. Don't know if you can see the grain, but I'm really happy with it. So that's going to make a really nice clock in my humble opinion. So that's that. So my ultrasonic cleaner is not really big enough to wash the parts for this for this clock. So I'm gonna have to do it by hand, and what I just have is some basic degreaser here. Now I know that this spring here, this is the main spring for the chimes, is made out of steel, so you're not going to want to leave this in there for too long, and you're going to want to make sure that it's 100% dry in a timely manner. But we're just going to get it get all that gummy oil off. All the gears are in the bottom there. I've separated the movement for the clock and the movement for the chimes, just for ease of identification, and we're just going to wash it up. So let's get into it. Here we have all the parts of the movement all washed and cleaned up. All the parts here on the right hand side are the parts responsible for all the chiming. All the parts on the left over here are all parts that are for the movement itself. And so I didn't really have a movement holder, so what I did, and some of you guys might recognize this, is a vise that I restored. So I just got some light pressure on it just to hold it in place while I put everything in. Okay, so now we have the dial in front of us, and what I couldn't explain at the starting of the video, and now discovered that the dial is actually on this metal surface. This it looks kind of like a galvanized metal surface, but I don't know. I don't know why it cracked like that, but it is what it is. What I would like to do is see if I can do anything with this brass here. It is brass, it's not magnetic, and it's quite malleable, so I don't know if they covered this in shellac as well. It is possible to hopefully keep a little bit more of the sheen, but it darkened over the years, just like the rest of the humpback case. But yeah, what I got here is some, what is this? This is brown polishing compound, and I have, well, a Dremel-like tool and a cotton wheel on there. So what I'm going to do is maybe do an inconspicuous area at the bottom here and see if it polishes up. And if it does, I will continue all the way around. But first, let's get the glass out. It needs to be cleaned all the way around the edges anyways, so it would have had to come out anyways. Go. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. This will benefit from a good cleaning. Wonder if it'll fit in the ultrasonic. That'd be cool. That's starting to look really, really nice. I mean, compared to what it looked like before. Now I think I'll hit it with the white compound, which is a smaller abrasive, and it'll polish it more to like a more of a mirror finish. Now, I don't know why they didn't just go with the brass on the inside, but they did some sort of like silver coating on here for whatever reason, and I just really think it looks kind of dingy. So what I'm going to do is take some silver paint and carefully, very carefully paint this. So I've polished up all of the brass, and I've read up online the best thing to use is lacquer, and I did have some at one time, but it turns out that it congealed when it got bad. So another thing you can use is polyurethane, so that's what I'm going to coat all of the brass with in order to stop all the tarnishing. So I got everything back together, and I basically just went over all of the pivots with this synthetic oil, just one at a time, going through everything, and then on the escapement as well. And this right here on the chime side was a little bit of a pain in the butt to get the timing just right. So basically this wheel right here represents the chiming schedule, and what ends up happening is that whenever this little guy right here goes into one of these slots, it stops, and then it counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I believe that would be 7 o'clock. Well, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what ends up happening is that when this arm goes into this slot right here, another arm catches on one of the wheels and stops it dead in its tracks until the next hour or half hour turns around, and then it picks up again. This time it will be 8 o'clock. Or, yeah. So that's that. So pretty much everything I need is right here on the desk. Everything has been restored. And so now it's the time to start the reassembly. And I figure the first part to do would be to put the back door back on, because I'll actually have to nail in these little nails, and I think that that would be a stupid idea with the movement in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Set this aside for the moment. And there you have it. The clock starts a brand new life as of now. All we have to do is set the time now and keep an eye on it for the next couple of days and regulate it. So today is day number 3 on the test to see how accurate it is. And I'm happy to say that this is the clock that I use to set the time. And as you can see, it's what is it, about 6:10, and it's about the same over here. And I have not touched the clock. I had to move it just to work on the desk a little bit, but other than that, it has been running for the past 3 days, and it's keeping pretty accurate time. And here it is all finished. I'd say it turned out pretty nice. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.